So John MacDonald currently serves as Director of Product Management for Analytics and Assessment for EBSCO Information Services. He leads the development of products that help libraries and librarians to better understand their users, their usage, and the value of their collections and services. Just released product, Panorama, is designed as a library-centric modern analytics platform that provides librarians with a robust tool to connect disparate user engagement and usage data with output and outcomes data, enabling new insights. Prior to working for EBSCO, John was the Associate Dean for Collections at the University of Southern California Libraries. He holds a bachelor's degree in history and a master's in library and information science from the University of Illinois. And we all, obviously from this presentation, we know we have lots of fun. In his free time and for his fun, he enjoys baseball, brewing beer, getting those cocktails in, making fermented hot sauces, and entertaining his teenager and their very big and sweet dog. So welcome, John.
Thank you. It's great to be here. And that was an excellent cooking demonstration. And just to tie these two things together, or me together, previously I used to work at Caltech. The question about olive oil made me think of this story. At Caltech on campus, they have a number of olive trees, and facilities used to spray them with chemicals to keep them from blooming. So the olives would fall on the walkways and they'd be slippery and so on and so forth. And while I was there, the students got together and they said, no, don't do that. Let them bloom. We're going to harvest them and make olive oil. And it became this big, huge campus level thing. So they did make their own olive oil, and it was great. And I think to this day, they still make it. And they partner with, I believe, the Santa Barbara Olive Oil Company here in California. So that's a little bit about me. I was a librarian for 20 years before joining EBSCO at universities. And this product that I'm going to talk about and the process of developing the product really was born out of a lot of my experience and my colleagues' experience with analytics and really the lack of robust tools that we had. If I go kind of fast, just speak up, slow me down, ask any questions when we go through it. I'll send you guys the slides afterwards as well, and you can always schedule a follow-up, and we can talk through some of the aspects of what the product does and the intent around the product. To bring it all together, we knew when I joined EBSCO specifically to design this product, I knew that we didn't have a lot of good analytics products. We had counter reports and a standard around that, but primarily librarians were struggling to harvest and manage data, a lot of Excel spreadsheets, which leads to all kinds of versioning problems and preservation problems, those kinds of things. But I'm sure all of you know, assessment of our collections and services is super important right now. Probably when I started my career, funding the library and supporting the library was just a given on most campuses. Nowadays, there's a lot more interest in looking at return on investment or contribution to the overall educational mission. So we as librarians, we want to tell our stories a little bit better about how the library is contributing to student and faculty success, but we need better tools to do that. Some of the things linking library engagement with student and faculty success, I'm just going to point out a couple of high-level studies. I'm sure you're all very familiar with the Minnesota study on student success, where they were looking at both usage of collections, but also engagement with librarians and engagement with the library facilities as well. In addition, there's a great study in 2015, 2016 by Columbus State, where they found significant, a statistically significant correlation between their library instruction program in various ways and student success as well. GWILA, when I was at USC, we were one of the PIs on the GWILA student success information literacy grant and study. And of course, they found that there is a correlation between information literacy, library instruction, and student success. The University of Central Florida has done a lot of work around collecting a number of different metrics around how students are engaging with the library. I believe they had somewhere over 250 different measures that they've been collecting over time. And of course, they found a statistical correlation, a significant correlation between their library instruction program. That's what it was primarily, the study was primarily based on, and GPA as a measure of student success. Over in the UK, one of the earlier studies around this was from JISC, and they found that usage of electronic resources, circulation of physical items, and then a wonderful term, library footfall, only the Brits could come up with that, engagement with the library through the use of library buildings. They found a significant relationship through that study too. And much more recently, a really great study out of UNC Charlotte, and this was a campus level study where they collected measures across all different aspects of a student's engagement with the university. But for the academic model, they found for the library factors like library instruction, physical circulation, and study room reservations were statistically significant contributors to the variance in cumulative GPA, meaning that the higher that students engage with the library in these metrics, the higher their GPAs tend to be. This study was really great because they also explored like non-academic engagement with the university, things like sports participation, intramural sports, whether you have a student job. That's a wonderful study out of UNC Charlotte. And also very recently, Megan Oakleaf has led a series of grants on looking into how to improve our library's involvement with campus level learning analytics engagement efforts, because our campuses are doing a lot of learning analytics projects, and one of the issues can be that if the library isn't well represented in these, then we become invisible. And many libraries, many institutions want to make sure that they're doing the right things that lead to student success. So they want their measures represented in these studies. And particularly for this grant, the LILA grant, what she recommended for library vendors to do was to provide dashboards and visualizations, to define consistent sets of data relevant to student learning, to look at data points of significance, to work with libraries to do these things. So EBSCO, what EBSCO's done over the last couple of years, we've been working on a product vision for Panorama. Our first step was a proof of concept study. We partnered with the University of Denver, and they provided us some extracts of data from their various systems. And what we were able to do was to take a look at their physical circulation, their easy proxy sessions, and that was a proxy for engagement with library online resources, and then their appointments with research librarians, student appointments with research librarians. And we found here, the numbers are very small, you can't really see, but the red line shows that students who engage with the library in these through these methods tend to end up with a higher GPA at the end of the term. So we knew that there was some significance around engagement with the library in various ways and student success. So we've been building over the past year or so, year and a half now almost, this product called Panorama. It's all built on modern analytics technologies. And the goal is to provide a hosted SaaS software platform for libraries to store their own data and combine data across disparate systems as much as possible. And then on top of it, we've layered a best-in-class visualization tool in the form of Tableau on top of that. And really, the overall goal is to have a customizable tool for libraries. You decide what data flows into the platform. You have access to the data. You own the data. You retain the data, and you get to decide what metrics out of each of your information systems might flow into the platform. So what I want to show is a couple of our dashboards as they stand right now, and then leave some time for questions. So very basically, we've worked with a number of about a dozen development partners over time, and we have built a couple of dashboards. That could be seen as very basic, a library overview page, something you might publish on your webpage about how the library is doing. Circulation statistics, a better way to visualize circulation statistics. In this example, we've clicked on books and books on music, and you can see the lone locations are all the music library for this particular library. You can also see the orange line here towards the left side of the screen. We started this project right before the pandemic hit. And so libraries had some data that they were giving to us in January and February. And then obviously their physical circulation dropped off to zero once they sent their students home. And it's interesting in a very sad way, obviously, but all of our library partners have this same same shape to this curve as they sent their students home because of the pandemic. Other dashboards are built around helping you manage your library in more efficient ways. This dashboard on the collections budget, this is the kind of dashboard as I was an AUL of collections in some of my previous jobs. This is kind of the John dashboard. This is what I wanted to see every single day when I came into work. You know, what is our budget? What did we expend? This data for this particular library is updated on a daily basis. So I can see immediately if we appear to be going, as this library did, going into the red back in March of 2020. And if you need to make a change to make sure you don't overexpend your budget, you can do so because you're seeing these visualizations in near real time. This particular library partner, they were overexpending on purpose, so they knew that was going to happen. But if you didn't, these visualizations give you real data to act on right away. This is our dashboard for counter statistics for this particular library, a better way to visualize how their users are using. This happens to be the ebook report. Usage was high during the semester, drops down in the summer. That seems pretty obvious. But down here in the bubble chart in orange, you can clearly see where there's potential outliers that are driving a lot of your ebook usage. So for this library, unsurprising, a library with big undergraduate population, a lot of psychology majors, the DSM-5 is their most used ebook for the time period that we have selected here. And that's also why over on the left side, Springer is their most used publisher, but American Psychiatric Publishing, the publisher of the DSM-5, is their second biggest. We've built data pipelines to pull in authentication statistics from both EasyProxy and Open Athens. So if you use either of those systems, we've got dashboards available for you. And it gives high-level information about your user's use of EasyProxy, but also a nice geographic representation of where your users are coming from. And that's really intended. Before the pandemic, obviously, they would have had a lot of usage from right around their campus. And so high levels of usage in areas of the world that you didn't expect could really trigger a closer look to see if you have some compromised credentials or something like that. We have built dashboards for EDS so far as a discovery system, and we'll be working on Primo and other discovery systems as time goes on. But again, a nice way to visualize how your users are engaging with your discovery system. So what are the databases they're getting to? And I know these are database codes that we use behind the scenes. Obviously, ERIC is one of them, but we still need to crosswalk this to natural language database names. But you get an idea. Your users are using discovery. They're getting to the catalog. They're getting to your EBSCO host databases, so on and so forth. Much more interesting to me actually is our development of dashboards that combine metrics from different information systems, disparate information systems that you haven't taken a look at combining or correlating before. So one example is this dashboard where we're taking information from the library's counter reports, from their link resolver. For this library, it happens to be SFX, and they also use libkey from Third Iron. So we took all of those and we're able to connect the usage metrics coming out of those three different systems and look at what is the relationship between how your users get to content through these different methods, and are there outliers? You can see in the first chart, there's a lot of usage of science through SFX. There's a lot of usage of nature through Third Iron, but not through SFX. Why is that? Gives you some very easy information to look at and to try to explore more thoroughly. See if you find outliers, or maybe have some work to do on your direct linking. Maybe you want to flow all users through libkey and make some changes to do that. This gives you the information to understand how that's done. In addition, correlating these different measures, and possibly in the future, your discovery usage of content, and maybe even other metrics, it provides an opportunity to build a model where you could model usage of content that is not providing you usage statistics right now. So for a typical journal, if it's clicked on through SFX a certain number of times, that would give you the ability to estimate your counter usage. And that's forthcoming. And then probably most interesting, to me at least, and tying this back to the learning analytics discussion, we're able to, for libraries that want to do this, campuses that want to do this, we're able to take information that they have about student outcomes, anonymize data around their students and what they're doing, and how they're engaging with the library, and then what the results are. So this chart you see, I've got highlighted, we're looking at physical circulation, and you can see the pattern is pretty clear. Not a ton of physical circulation. This happened to be their winter quarter when the pandemic was hitting. So not a ton of physical circulation, but you can see the students who check out a lot of books tend to get good grades, and students who don't check out books tend to get a wide range of grades. So it's kind of an obvious relationship. You know, there are students who don't need to do library research. Maybe you're a dance major in your senior year and you're doing, you know, performance classes. You don't really need to check out a lot of books to get a good grade. But if you're getting bad grades, it's usually because, or at least in this relationship, you're not engaging with the library. Much more interesting to me, and with much more depth of data points, was their use of their students' use of Easy Proxy. So they were all remote, basically, and had to come through to get to the library, to library resources through Easy Proxy. And you can see the relationship is much stronger, a much more dense set of data points here on this scatter plot. And the relationship is the same, pretty much. There are some outliers, you know, there are people that are getting 0 GPA, and those could be because they're non-credit types of students or something like that. But you can filter those out. We have a series of advanced filters up at the top around, you know, your different patron group, what degree level they're seeking, what their specialization is. So again, a good way for the library to see how they're engaging with the library. And one of our goals is, as we add data to the system for each library, to build out this dashboard into more of that regression model that you saw in our proof of concept. So we don't yet have reference statistics in the form of like spring share data or library instruction statistics for this library. That's ongoing. Building those data pipelines is ongoing. And hopefully I made it in time. So we've got a couple minutes for questions before you head off to your next session.
Any questions? I don't see any in chat. Any questions?
I guess I've got one. the practical question, pricing model.
Yeah, this is we're still working those details out as people are becoming interested in the product. We're trying to fine tune the value proposition and figure out what the appropriate price points are. But the model is based on our other SaaS products where there's different levels for different FTE levels. And then there are going to be different levels for the number and types of data sources that you want connected to it. If a library just has a couple of data sources, let's say their ILS, their counter reports, their authentication, that would be a different price than a library that's doing those three plus discovery, plus link resolver, plus facilities data, so on and so forth. So the concept really is to allow a library to have their platform evolve and grow over time. As they have needs for additional data sources and capacity to work with us to connect them. And I did see a chat.
Would this work with ProQuest data?
Yeah, compatible with data from other vendors as well. Yes, our development model is based on either connections to APIs for modern software systems or data extracts from systems that lack APIs. So we've got a full, to tie it back to the cooking demonstration, we've got a recipe that we give you to extract, to write code and implement code to extract your easy proxy files, for example, because there are no APIs for that. But on the other hand, for an Alma user, there are APIs that we have, and we've got a recipe for that. So we are pulling in data from a number of vendors. And it's not intended, this is intended to be vendor and publisher agnostic. So it's not just EBSCO data. Obviously, we control some products behind the scenes, so we have better access to things like EDS and Folio. So those work really well and are easy to set up for us. Others are a little bit tougher, but yeah, we're working with other vendors to get that data from their systems into this product. It's available for subscription now. So just contact your sales rep and we can do a full demo. I can do a live demo, or your sales reps can do a demo as well. And Holly asked, to be honest, I don't know what a VPAT or a HECVAT is.
Sure. So voluntary accessibility or information security assessments.
Oh, okay. We do work with our information security team to ensure we're adhering to all standards. That would be something for those acronyms, I would have to refer you to them, but they do step in when a library is interested in this, and maybe your campus IT has some questions or your chief security officer has some questions. We pull in our technical team to describe exactly what we're doing and how we're adhering to, all of the normal standards like GDPR and ISO 27001, so on and so forth. But I can look into that for you as well.
Hi, John, it's Nancy. I just posted it in the chat. I can follow up also and send that information to Carol Ann to share with the group.
Yep. Thank you.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Thank you. This is really interesting. And as always, EBSCO's support of SUNYLA is amazing, and we really, really appreciate it. We hope to see you at the socials tonight. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.